Hello, universe. Welcome to my world. We do Angelina Jordan videos on this channel. She's a Norwegian singer. She's nearly 16 years old, and she's known primarily as a jazz singer, but she's also known to have 1,000 voices, and she's very comfortable singing pop songs. But one thing she does, and she does very well, is she does blues. And this is not really discussed very much, but today we're going to discuss it. Now, if you were to ask me, what is the difference between blues and rhythm and blues and Chicago blues and British rhythm and blues? The bad news is I have absolutely no idea. The good news is this will not detract from our enjoyment of the music that we're about to hear. And one of the things which is really important, which we're going to show today, is how rhythm and blues evolved to become rock and roll. And we are actually looking at this through one song, which Angelina Jordan does at the end of the video. But with the history of this song, we can actually see how the evolution from blues to rock and roll evolved. The transformation between rhythm and blues into rock and roll is a bit like the transformation from a caterpillar into a butterfly. Really interesting. Now first, this song in 1954 was written by Willie Dixon. He was actually a musician, and he wrote a lot of classical blues songs, and he worked alongside of Muddy Waters. This is his recording from 1971, and it is really bluesy.
I don't want you to be no slave. I don't want you to work all day. I don't want you to be true, but I just want to make love to you.
And Willie Dixon in 1954, working alongside Muddy Waters. Muddy Waters was one of the original recordings for this song as well. And you may notice it's a little bit out of sync. He actually recorded this in the mid-50s, but the concert footage we're going to see is from 20 years later.
I don't want you to be no slave. I don't want you to work all day. I don't want you to be true. I just want to make love to you. I don't want you to wash my clothes.
Of course, if we're discussing the history of blues, we cannot forget B.B. King. He was one of the main pillars in the history of blues. Here is his version of the song.
I don't want you to make my bed. I don't want you to cook my bread. I don't want you causing sad blue, baby. I just want to make love to you.
That was all in the mid-50s. By 1960, we have Etta James arriving. Etta James is a rhythm and blues singer, and it's very interesting because her version from 1960 on the album is very, very different from her concert version in 1993, which is much more influenced by rock and roll. You can hear how the influence over the 30 years has changed the nature of this blues song. Two versions from Etta James now.
I don't want you to be no slave. I don't want you to work all day. I don't want you to be no slave. I don't want you, honey, to work all day. I don't want you sad and blue. I just want to make love to you.
And now we come to an absolutely pivotal figure in the transition from rhythm and blues to rock and roll. And his name is Chuck Berry. He was acknowledged by both the Beatles and the Rolling Stones for being a massive, massive influence, and both those bands have paid homage to him in very much the same way that Angelina Jordan has paid homage to Billie Holiday for her jazz influence. And in fact, the song that Chuck Berry did, and which the Beatles also covered, as well as the Stones, is Roll Over Beethoven. And in a way, this actually captures what we're talking about, because when he says roll over Beethoven, he says move over Beethoven, move over classical music. It is time to make way for the era of rock and roll. Now, more specifically, we are talking about the transition from rhythm and blues to rock and roll, but he is actually capturing the same essence of the message that we're talking about. Here's Chuck Berry speaking about rhythm and blues and rock and roll, the new music of the modern era, and the Beatles follow with the same song.
I need a shot of rhythm and blues. I got the rolling on the right and sitting down at a rhythm review. Roll over Beethoven, tell Tchaikovsky the news.
And the blues song that we're looking at to show all of this history is I Just Want to Make Love to You. Chuck Berry also did this song, and his version inspired the Rolling Stones. Now, the Rolling Stones, they have been called a blues cover band, but really they are a rock and roll band, and I don't need to give any introduction to the Rolling Stones. And their version is blues, but it's blues not as we know it. It's a different type of blues. Again, I've used the recording from 1964. The concert footage is from 40 years later, and they do say they are one of the best live rock and roll bands in the world to watch.
I don't want you to work all day. I don't want your weekly pay. I don't want you to make me blue. I just want to make love to you.
I don't want you to be no slave. I don't want you to work all day. I don't want, 'cause I'm sad and blue. I just want to make love to you, baby. Love to you, baby. Love to you, baby. Love to you.
Also recorded in 1964, a version of this song from the Righteous Brothers. This is very, very bluesy, and it's quite true to the original. But notice that the Righteous Brothers are mainly known as a soul band. Whatever you say, you could not call them a blues band, but they cover the song very well in the blues tradition.
I don't want you to be no slave. I don't want you to work all day. All I want you to be is true. I just want to make love to you.
By the early 70s, we have artists like Van Morrison, the Irish singer. His genre is not only blues, but it's folk, and it's rock, and it's Celtic. And he covers this song in blues, but that's not his main emphasis. Whereas the original singers we heard, the Muddy Waters and the B.B. King, they were exclusively blues singers.
I don't want you to be no slave. I don't want you to work all day. I don't want you to feel sad and blue. I just wanna make.
Now we're having a couple of tracks from the 21st century. Tom Petty is certainly not known as a blues singer, and yet he also graced the song with his version. You can hear it's a different type of blues from what we've heard before.
I don't want you to work all day. I don't want you to spend my pay. I don't want your money, Joe. I just want to make love to you now.
And in 2008, a very young Adele, at the start of her career, also sang this song. And she did a very, very good version, a very good bluesy version. And whatever you can say about Adele, you certainly would not think of her as a blues singer. She is primarily a pop modern singer. She writes her own material, and she certainly does justice to this song.
I don't want you to be no slave. I don't want work all day. But I want you to be true. And I just wanna make love to you, love to you. Ooh, baby, love to you, yeah.
Now finally, we reach Angelina Jordan. Here she is at the age of 11, trying to sing one of the most classical blues songs that there is. A couple of things to say. One, I need to apologize for the acoustics. The acoustics from this particular version are not very good, but we can still hear the pure quality of her performance. The other thing is, the lyrics have been somewhat changed to make it age appropriate for an 11-year-old. And even the title of the song has been changed. So with that in mind, let's hear what Angelina Jordan does to the song as well. It's just amazing how an 11-year-old girl can come along and every single genre she touches, she's spectacular and really impresses us. We will continue to be impressed with Angelina Jordan. Okay, gang, I'm out of here. Catch you later. Bye.